renewed interest in banking stocks is helping to sustain the positive momentum in Nigeria's equities market. But analysts warned that the rally may be short-lived without a clear catalyst. Joining me to unpack the drivers and the risk is Vincent Oshoma, Securities Dealer at Midpoint Capital Limited. Vincent, we've seen 2 days of positive momentum so far in the market now, and then we're hearing words that this momentum cannot stay for long. Now, let's look at basically how the market has been so far this week and what's driving this momentum, particularly for banking stocks.
Renewed interest in the market, which has also affected prices. We have experienced some gains in the market, and also today the market closed positive, and which is good for us as traders, seeing investors with positive sentiment in the market, and we hope this is sustained. Though there's still that overhang about what is happening with respect to the capital gain tax, but I think the fact that the government have brought some level of clarity as regards 2025 transaction not being affected, I think it's part of what is driving momentum. And that's also looking at us approaching the end of the year, fund managers balancing their books, and also investors trying to rebalance their portfolio. I think that's why we're seeing this renewed interest in the market.
I mean, the CGT and other tax laws are not effective until the 1st of January. And then, like you rightly said, the government has come out to clarify some of these provisions in the tax laws. But I mean, do you think investors are buying the words, the comments? Is it not a case of action meeting words?
Yes, it's going to start in 2026, but you know the uncertainty, investors, not the lack of clarity. First of all, the government said that they are going to do something about it, but we're not seeing them come out with a clear plan of what they're actually going to do. After the information that came out that they are not going to there's not going to affect 2025 transaction, we have not seen much. So there's that still overhang with respect to what to expect. But the fact that if you look at the equities, the companies, they're actually trading at good prices, discount that people can actually pick up. But just because of that concern, a lot of persons are not speaking. But I think that information is actually affecting sentiment as we approach the end of the year.
Let's look at how investors are rebalancing their portfolios right now, and then look at the stocks, basically. Based on what you've seen so far in the market this week, what are the stocks that investors are really looking out for?
Yes, from looking at, especially looking at today's activities, we have seen renewed interest in the banks, because if you look at it, the banks were the most hit when it comes to the impact of the CGT. And so when you see banks like Zenith trading went as below 16 naira, we have seen the gradual rebound trying to climb above 16 naira, and also GT went as low as 83, 84 naira, trying to come back to around the 87, 88. I think that's a good thing. Also, Access Bank that have been very down for some time, we have seen it. Today, Access Bank went as high as gaining 5% in the initial period in the market. So we have seen such interest in our banks, also with the UBA, especially the major banks. I think that's one area people are actually looking at.
All right, some level of clarity is being made there. And then also another point, let's look at how the insurance sector is also doing. We know the Insurance Act also coming into play, but how are investors still pricing in on stocks from the insurance companies?
Yeah, we have not seen much interest in the insurance like we saw at the initial time when the news was announced. I think people are still looking at those. You know, the insurance sector, outside that interest when the new law was announced, we have not seen much interest, but it's something people are looking at. I think one catalyst people will be looking at, what will their performance be? Because the news have actually pushed their price to a certain level. I think the next catalyst people will be looking at is the performance. What are they going to report in their Q4 result and also their audited financials? I think that will be what people will be looking out for to actually get their interest in the insurance sector.
Well, looking at the season where we are, we're also at the tail end of the fourth quarter, and then we also know that this season also comes with seasonal spending so far. But let's look at how the consumer goods sector would fare, looking at the fact that the festive period, spendings and this time, and then what do you expect the sector to close?
Yes, fourth quarter is a very good time for the consumer goods, especially for those that are in the beauty sector. And we have seen it in terms of their prices. for today, one of the top gainers in the market in terms of the major companies, Nigerian BOs is there. Also, we also see UACN pulling up at one of the top gainers in the market today, gaining as much as 10%. That tells you people are looking at what is going to happen in the consumer goods sector. Remember, the consumer goods sector is one of the most hit sector when it talks about what the impact of the challenges in the economy, especially with FX. The stability in FX has actually affected them, especially for their finance costs. And people are looking at what will happen to them at the end of this year. And fourth quarter is usually a good time, a good quarter for them. So it's one area people are also looking at.
Now let's look at in terms of policy environment so far. We've seen inflation slow down. We're also seeing the Monetary Policy Committee also holding rates steady. But let's look at how investors are translating a lot of this. We've seen what the likes of the new tax law has come up with. But what areas do you think that the body language of investors is tilted towards in terms of responding to some policies regarding some of the listed companies?
Yes, one thing about the impact of inflation is that with the inflation trending down, you expect rates to moderate. Though the CBN decided not to reduce rates, but in fact that they adjusted the asymmetric corridor tells you that they are open to rate reduction. And also the CBN governor mentioned that they will start looking at rate cuts by next year. I think they are just looking at stability, some level of stability. So with the expected rate cuts, as we continue to have reduced moderation in inflation, means that people will be looking at the equity space. Outside the fact that we are looking at the impact of some policies, I think they will be looking at. Also, when you look at the rates in the fixed income, we have seen a lot of moderation in that space. So it means that people will be looking at the equity space outside. For those that will be taking action in the fixed income, you see that there's more interest in long-dated investment than the short end of the fixed income investment instruments.
Okay, I mean, news filtering in the Nigerian equity space over the last couple of weeks now, we've seen the introduction of CP listing, by the NGX, and then also the T+2 settlement platform as well for capital market trades. You as a trader, let's talk to how this is helping to spur or make the equities market more viable.
Yeah, that's a very good thing. In fact, the T+2 settlement cycle will bring more transparency and efficiency to the market. The fact that investors will be able to get their funds much earlier. So it's a very good thing for the market. We expect that it will affect the market and get more people into the market. Also, the fact that investors can also now trade CPs in the secondary market, I think is also going to create a lot of liquidity in that space. And that's a good thing for the market. Especially coming in at this time ahead of 2026, we expect to see more impact of that trade by 2026, more transactions with those that want to trade on the fixed income commercial papers in the market.
All right, let's look at how the market has been so far. What's your expectation for 2025? Where do you see the equities market close at? And then in terms of our index, also in terms of the performance, what do you expect for 2025?
Yeah, 2025 has been a very interesting year. And also when you look at what has happened, despite the challenges in the economy, though we have seen more stability towards the end of the year, that the market was able to do, we project the market should be able to do above 40% this year in terms of performance. So going into 2026 with those this kind of stability, we expect more from the market in 2026. And we expect to see more investors come to more transactions in the market, which will spur growth in the market. Also, we expect to see some companies projected listings in the market, especially for Dangote refineries. I think those will also spur activities in the market, and that's good for the market.
All right, we'll see how the market will perform, and then also look forward to the Dangote listing sometime next year. That was Vincent Oshoma, Securities Dealer at Midpoint Capital.